That what you mentioned around letting people know that they're not alone and they're not crazy, I think is really important because, of course, a major thing that happened during COVID was that people were literally isolated from one another. And so they became heavily dependent on mainstream media narratives and on social media. And what was happening on social media, I mean, first of all, that's what the information that you're getting is controlled by big tech and the algorithms. And people who were speaking out against the narrative, challenging the narrative, providing truths that were being hidden by big tech, by mainstream media, were banned, censored, shadow banned, and so on and so forth. And, that was a really great tool that the government had to be able to isolate people and make them feel like they're the only one who's questioning this, that they're crazy, and of course that they'll be punished if they do speak out. And one of the things that was really inspiring about the convoy was that people, got together in person, face to face, saw that they weren't alone. I was just so impressed by the organizing that went into all of this. And when I was back on the island, my family lives on Vancouver Island now, though I grew up in Vancouver, the city of Vancouver. And I connected to a lot of the Freedom people over on the island. And it's so amazing what the truth is versus what you think the truth is.
Right.
When you look in mainstream media and social media.
Absolutely. And, to your point about how organized the convoy seemed to be, I could not believe, I really had a hard time believing that we actually organically just all came together peacefully. People were setting up bases and base camps and deep fryers and cookers and grills and making all this food. And it was so organized, and everybody just pitched in. It was like, I'm gonna do whatever I can to just make this work, and let's all make sure we feed each other, and let's make sure it's all work. So when you think, the government has to spend a ton of money and do a ton of research and hire a number of engineers, how to figure its way out of a wet paper bag. It's incredible how inefficient they are and how they get it wrong so often. And yet, when people come together in something that inspires them and motivates them, it just happens, and they make it work. And because they're all in sync, because they're all together in this, they make it work. And there was a time. There's many stories of how this affected me when I was there. But I'll never forget one opportunity. There's a team of doctors, people like Dr. Hodkinson, Michael Alexander, a number of doctors that had come together and were working with us because on a daily basis, they were doing conferences in the hotel, inviting the government to come and listen to them in what they had to say. And of course, they would never get audience from the government, but they were trying to have audience with the government. And at one point, we're sitting there, eating hamburgers or something in a boardroom. And I looked at everyone, and we had truck drivers sitting in the room with law enforcement officers and doctors who were so concerned. We had these different tiers in society, this hierarchical tiers. And it didn't feel like it. We all felt like we were brothers and sisters having dinner at a big boardroom table. Like there was no hierarchy in terms of authority. We were all on the same level. And we came to realize, we just stopped and looked at each other and said, I don't feel like that's the doctor's table and this is the truck driver's table. We were all equal at that point. And what made us equal is that we all had the exact same thing to lose, our freedom.